Hello teachers or future teachers, welcome back for another section of the CBEST practice test. Today we are going to be covering 21 to 30. And ones in here are a little bit more tricky, so I suggest that you eliminate the ones that you don't think are appropriate, but then that gives you a bigger probability of getting the right answer. Okay, remember that if you need the packet, it's online and you can find the link in the description below. And please don't forget sharing this information with other teachers so that they can also benefit from this material. Number 21 says, a sporting goods store is offering a 10% discount on inline skates that normally cost $110.99. How much will the inline skates cost with a discount, not including tax? So there is an easy way to find 10%, but I want to show you just in case it's not as easy as 10%. Usually with 10%, all you have to do is just move it to the left one space because it has 1 0, okay? And it works only if it has a 1 and a 0, okay? 10%. So by moving that decimal, that gives us 11.099, okay? But the way to find it, if it was a different amount of discount, you move the decimal space twice, okay? That's gonna be 2 times, and it's gonna be 0.10. Then you're going to multiply the percent in decimal form times the total cost, and in here you get, well, 0 times everything is just 0, 0, 0, so you can just add it at the end. Anytime you have zeros, that's what you can do, okay? And then 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. Then you're going to count the amount of decimal spaces, including both factors, okay? So total is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where you put the decimal point. If you notice, it's the same thing. This to the right doesn't really make a difference. So the discount, that's just to find the discount. You multiply the percent in decimal form times the total price, but then you have to subtract that from the original price. Okay, so it's going to be 110 with 99 cents minus the discount, which is 11.099. And you might want to include that 0 in there, but it's not necessary. If it gets confusing, then do it. In here, we do need to put a 0 just as a placeholder, and because we need to subtract. So we're going to borrow from the 9, 1, and that becomes a 10, that becomes an 8. 10 minus 9 is 1. 8, we don't have enough, so that becomes an 8, and this is 18 now. 18 minus 9 is 9, and 8 minus 0 is 8. In here we borrow as well. This becomes a 0, and this is a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. And then you can just take that as 10 minus 1 is 9. So the total price is going to be 99.89. Because this is a 1, it rounds to the, it stays the same. And so that's going to be 99.89. That's letter A. Another way that since we have been practicing in the previous part of math, we did a lot of problems with proportions. So another way to find the discount, if you feel more comfortable, it's going to be by putting 10% and the 100. And then on the other one, the total price is 110 with 99 cents. And we're going to look for the discount. Okay, so the discount of 10% is the same as the total price to 100%. Okay, that's how they do proportions. we do cross multiplication with our butterfly, and then we say that x times 100 is 100x equals 110.99 times 10. Whenever we're multiplying by a multiple of 10, by a one with a 0 or one with 2 zeros or one with 3 zeros, we just look at the number of zeros and we move that many spaces to the right because it's multiplication. So we move it in here and it's going to be 1109.9. Okay, then we divide both sides by 100. Now in division, we go backwards, right? That decimal. So in multiplication, we went to the right. In division, we go left 2 spaces, and that's going to be 11.099. If you notice, it's the same as what we had up here by multiplying by 0.10. 11.099. Or over here by just going back 1 decimal place. So whichever works for you, use whatever is easier, okay? Or whatever you remember the most. Once you get that, you just subtract it from the original price, and that's how you'll find the price on sale. 22. At the beginning of a class period, half of the students in a class go to the library. Later, so in here, beginning of a class period, half of the class or half of the students in a class go to the library. Okay, so maybe we can do that half of the class go to the library. This is half. And then later in the period, half of the remaining students, so whoever is left in the classroom, half of that, so it's half of half is 1/4, go to the computer lab. So computer lab. If there are 8 students remaining in class, so these are 8 in class, how many students were originally in the class? So if 8 represents 1/4, that means that this is also 8, and 8 plus 8 is half, then this is going to be another 16. So 16 plus 8 is going to be 32 students, and so it will be letter D. Okay, number 23. Let's read it. Peter works 38 hours per week, okay, and earns $7.25 per hour. His employer gives him a raise that increases his weekly gross pay to $307.80. What is the increase in Peter's weekly gross pay? Okay, so the first thing that we need to know is how much did he earn before. So we're going to multiply the 38 hours times the 725. So 38 times 725. And so 8 times 5 is 40, carry 4. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 4 is 20, carry the 2. 8 times 7 is 56, 57, 58. And now the 3 times 5 is 15, carry 1. 3 times 2 is 6, and 1, 7. And 3 times 7 is 21. We add and we get 0, 5, 15, carry 1, 7, 2. 2 decimal places, just like before, we just go back those 2 decimal places and we get 275.50. So now we get what Peter is earning right now. We subtract his previous pay. We get 0, 3. Remember that in subtraction we have to align the decimals. Oops. We have to align the decimals and bring it down. 7 minus 5 is 2. You borrow from here, and 10 minus 7 is 3. And so the increase for his weekly gross pay is $32.30, which is letter A. Number 24 says, use the diagram below to answer the question that follows. Okay, and it says, Aguilar Manufacturing Company packages a product for shipping by wrapping tape around the package as shown in the diagram. An additional 10% length of tape per package is needed for overlap. So that's important. We shouldn't forget at the end. What is the total length of tape needed per package? Okay, so let's look at this diagram. If you notice, it's showing only the front face, the top face, and the right face. We're missing the left. We cannot see that, the one below and the one in the back. Okay, but for any rectangular prism, you will always have two faces that are exactly the same. Top and bottom are the same. Front and back are the same, and left and right are the same. Okay, so what you can do is find the length of the tape for the top and just put it twice because you also have it at the bottom. And the same for back and front and right and left. So on the top, we can see that this tape is 15. Then you have this tape that is this same length, which is 10 and 10. And you do the same thing for the bottom. So it's 15, 10, 10. Then for the front and back, you only have this tape, which is 5 inches long. So 5 for the front, 5 for the back. And now we're missing the left and right. We can only see the right, which is also the same measurement, 5 and 5. So 5, 5, 5 5s. It's another 4 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And so now we have to add all of that together. That's just a tape without overlap. Okay. So let's see in here. How do we organize it? In here we have 10, 20, 35, and 35. And you can add as you wish. You can do one by one or just grouping. In here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5s. So 5 times 6 is 30. And so 35 plus 35 is 70 plus 30. That's going to be equals to 100 inches of tape. That's just to cover the 6 faces. However, now we have to add the additional 10% length of overlap. Okay. This is easy because it's 100 and 10% of 100 is 10. You just add that and that's going to be equals to 110 inches. So let me tell you that if you are not sure, what you need to do then is to put this 10 as decimal. If it's a different percent, you just move the decimal place back 2 spaces, always 2 spaces. And whatever that number is, you're going to multiply it. That's going to give you a smaller number, okay, than the total, because that represents the 10% that you have to add to the other, okay? But this one was easier because it was 10%, so it's 110 inches, which is letter E. Number 25, it says Arturo is driving at a speed of 50 miles per hour. That's important information right there. Okay. At 2, he sees the following sign. Then let's go to the question first before we start looking at the information, because sometimes we start analyzing many other things that we don't really need. Arturo continues at the same speed at 2:30. Oh, it's been half an hour. At 2:30, how far from Canaan will he be? Okay, so they're asking about Canaan, which is this information right here. The other thing that we need to know is that he's been driving since 2 when he said this information, and then 2:30. So if he's driving at 50 miles per hour, in 1 hour is 50 miles, but he has driven only half half an hour. So that's half of those miles. He has driven for 25 miles. Back there at 2, there were 62 miles left, but now because he drove this many miles, he has less to drive. So from the 62, we're going to subtract those 25 miles that he already drove, and we're going to get, we borrow, 12 minus 5 is 7, 5 minus 2 is 3, and so that's how far he is from Canaan, which is letter E. Number 26. Keiko spent the day bird watching and counted 34 more birds in the morning than in the afternoon. So in the morning, afternoon. So in here it's saying that in the morning he watched 34 more birds than in the afternoon. Whenever you're comparing to something, that's gonna be your X. Okay, always the factor that is being compared to, that becomes your X. How does it compare? In the morning, he watched 34 more than in the afternoon. Okay, so whatever he watched in the afternoon, plus 34 more. So the other thing is that it says if she counted a total of 76 birds all together with the two expressions, Keiko watched X plus 34 plus X for a total of 36 birds. Okay, you're gonna put together the morning with the afternoon. So in here we have X, and X is 2X plus 34 equals 76. We subtract 34 from both sides, and 2X is equals to 6 minus 4 is 2, 7 minus 3 is 4. The last step is to divide both sides by 2, because this is multiplication, even if it doesn't have times in there, and you get 21. Okay, so how many birds did she count in the afternoon? Afternoon is the value of X. X is 21, so that's gonna be letter A. Okay, so basically you just have to make sure that you see what they're asking, because if they ask for the morning, then you would have to put the 21 at the 34, and then you will get the total answer. Okay. Number 27, this if you know how to work with equations, then this is very simple. Let me just rewrite it. Y minus 2 plus 3y equals 10. The first thing to do is to combine like terms, which is 3y and positive y. Remember that negative belongs to the 2. So that 3y and y is 4y. Minus 2 is equals to 10. You add 2 to both sides. 4y is equals to 12. This means multiplication. Anytime you have nothing, like no plus, no minus, is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. And so y is equals to 3. Letter B. Okay, number 28. Read the information below, then answer the question that follows. So in here is more of analyzing information and what is extra, sometimes you will have those type of questions where what is extra information in here, or what information is missing so that you can find, and then they tell you what to find. Okay, so it says a refrigerator in a school cafeteria is partially filled with 42 sandwiches. Okay, so we don't know how many fit in the refrigerator. We just know that right now it has 42 and it's partially filled, not completely. There are 13 turkey. So 13 are turkey. 14 cheese sandwiches. Okay. 15 egg salad sandwiches. By the end of lunch period, 21 of the sandwiches have been sold. Okay, so minus 21 that were sold. And let's see what they're gonna say in here. Which of the following facts can be determined from the information given above? A, the number of cheese sandwiches sold. Well, they told us how many they sold, but they didn't say that it was proportionate or that it was a specific number from each one. So no, if we go back, no, the number of cheese sandwiches sold, we don't have that information. The cost of a turkey sandwich, nowhere in this explanation do they talk about cost. So we don't know anything about how much each one costs, or if one is more expensive than the other. That's not information given to us. The total number of sandwiches that can be placed in the refrigerator. Also that one, we know that it's partially filled, but we don't know how many can be placed. So that's also a no. Then letter D says the total dollar sales of sandwiches during the lunch period. Again, no, because we know that 21 were sold, but nothing related to money, right? And letter E says the number of sandwiches remaining in the refrigerator after the lunch period. Well, we know that it's partially filled, but we know how many were before the lunch period, how many were sold, so we can most definitely find that 42 minus 21 is going to be 21. So yeah, that information we are able to determine, okay? Which of the following facts can be determined from the information given above? Number 29. Read the problem below, then answer the question that follows. Wei Jen and Sue are going to drive cross country. To reach their destination, they plan to drive about 400 miles each day for 5 days. If gasoline costs an average of $2 per gallon, okay, approximately how much money should they budget for gasoline on this trip? Which single piece of information is necessary to solve the problem above? So when they are asking this, that means that some information is missing. We don't have enough information to be able to solve or answer that question. So we know that they're driving 400 miles per day. Okay, we also know that they're going to drive 5 days. So by multiplying these two, we can figure out that they're going to drive 2,000 miles total, right? Then we are also given that gasoline costs $2 per gallon. So how can we figure out how much money will be needed for gasoline? So let's read the possibilities here. It says the number of times they will have to stop for gasoline. That doesn't really matter because it doesn't have to do with the times that they're going to stop, right? The number of miles the car travels per gallon of gasoline. Why? Because we need to know how much each gallon gives me of miles. By doing that, if, for example, if it's for 1 gallon, you drive or are able to drive 20 miles, let's say, some give 15, some give 20, 18. So you can divide that by the number of miles you get per gallon, and that way you will figure out how many gallons you will need. After that, you can multiply by the 2 and figure out what they're asking, okay? Which is the total amount of money you would have to pay for the whole trip. The number of miles Wei Jen will drive, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, my apologies. The number of miles Wei Jen will drive. No, it doesn't matter to know how much they will pay for the gasoline. It doesn't matter who drives or who doesn't, okay? Or how much one person will drive and the other. The total distance of their trip, we are already able to do that. So that's not what it's missing, okay? The number of miles the car travels per hour. Again, it's not related to how many hours will they take. It's more about the cost, so that's not going to help us at all. So it's basically this one. By finding the number of miles per gallon, you divide the total miles by the miles per gallon, you will get the number of gallons needed, which you can multiply by the cost per gallon, okay? Very tricky. Okay, the last one. It says, read the problem below, then answer the question that follows. Maria left her home at 9 a.m. Okay, this is Maria jogging because she's running 3 miles to the lake. Ran around the lake twice. Okay, so she runs from her home, leaving at 9 a.m. to the lake, and then runs around the lake. But then before that, he says that she runs 3 miles to the lake, around twice. So you go 1 time, 2 times, whoops. And then run home along the same route for a total distance of 10 miles. What was Maria's average jogging speed? Again, which single piece of additional information is required to solve this problem? So if you have here that she went 3 miles in here, and then she went around twice and came back, and the total is 10 miles, we can say that she ran that way, it's 3 miles, and also back 3 miles, right? That's 6. So the 2 laps in here or around the lake, it's for the other 4. So it's 2 and 2, right? In here is going to be 2 miles. Whoops. Okay, 2 miles for each lap, so that's a total of 4. Let's see what information they gives us in here. So are they missing that the distance around the lake? No, we can figure that out. So that's not the information that we're missing. The time she returned home, we don't know the time. And if they're asking for the average jogging speed, you do need to know how many minutes or hours did it take to go to the lake, go around the lake twice, and then come back. So that way we can divide the total number of miles by the minutes, and that way we can know the average speed, which is miles per minute or feet per minute. That's what it's asking. So yeah, it would be letter B. The amount of time she stopped to rest, that's not important in here. The average length of her jogging strides. Strides is how big her steps are. That's a stride, then another one, then another one. Again, that's not going to help us to really get the average jogging speed, okay? Speed is related to the distance traveled divided by the amount of minutes or by the time, basically, okay? So no. The amount of time it took her to run from the lake to her home, from here to here, that's not enough information. Again, it doesn't matter. The whole thing would help us more, okay? But it's just the time, the time she returned home. That way we can figure out how many minutes she ran, and then make a proportion or divide the miles with the minutes to know how many miles per minute, Okay, that's it for this part of the CBEST practice. I hope it was helpful. Please share, like, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, and I hope you pass the test. Bye-bye.